Very good.
Recently, people living near forest areas have continuously reported the appearance of wild wolves around farms and livestock enclosures. At first, they only appeared far from residential areas, but over time, they gradually moved closer. Many residents have directly seen wolves moving along fences, forest edges, or paths leading into production areas. These activities usually occur in the early morning or at dusk, when the surroundings become quiet. The distance between wolf packs and human settlements has been shrinking day by day, making the situation increasingly concerning.
Down and go scare this Cody. They're so smart.
Pretty coyotes here.
Are.
The continuous appearance of wild wolves has led residents to investigate the cause behind it. Natural food sources in the forest have shown signs of decline, forcing predators to expand their range of activity. Farms with livestock and poultry have become potential targets due to easier access. In particular, wolves are capable of remembering areas that previously provided food, allowing them to return based on habitual movement patterns. As natural conditions change, they adapt by moving closer to human settlements, increasing the risk of encounters between both sides. People have also begun closely monitoring movement routes to prepare appropriate control measures that In response, residents started developing control plans by deploying a trapping system. Wolf movement routes were tracked and identified based on footprints, travel direction, and timing of appearances. Locations near trails, forest edges, or fence areas were prioritized for trap placement. Bait was prepared to increase attraction when wolves passed through these zones. The surrounding environment was left unchanged to avoid altering their natural behavior, allowing the trap system to operate effectively according to the planned strategy.
Like so.
After the trapping system had been in operation for some time, residents conducted inspections of the deployed locations. During monitoring, one wolf was discovered caught in a trap at a prearranged site. Immediately after recording the incident, the monitoring team handled the situation according to safety procedures and ensured the area remained under control. At the same time, all trap locations were reassessed to determine their effectiveness. Some positions proved highly effective, while others required adjustments to better match the actual movement patterns of the wolf pack.
So actually, this is probably more than enough. Taught is you want to make sure.
Although some wolves had already been dealt with, continued monitoring showed that their presence around the area had not yet come to an end. In the following days, residents continued to record wolf sightings at various times around the farm and the forest edge. This indicated that many individuals were still active in the area and that the threat to livestock had not been completely eliminated. In response, the residents decided to continue maintaining the trap system and adjust its placement to more suitable locations. During the redeployment process, a new incident occurred. Another wolf moved into the controlled area and approached a previously adjusted trap location. The system was quickly activated and successfully restrained the animal at the scene. Residents recorded the result during the next inspection, confirming the effectiveness of the earlier adjustments. This incident showed that the placement strategy and approach were becoming more aligned with the actual behavior of the wolf pack in the area. After several successful control operations, the number of wolves appearing around the farms decreased significantly compared to before. Residents continue to maintain protective measures to reduce the risk of reappearance. The area is still monitored regularly to ensure the safety of nearby livestock.
Now, wolves are back in Belgium for the first time in more than 100 years as their numbers grow across Europe.
Maintain alpha male situations.
Everything began with signs that almost no one noticed. There were no growls echoing through the mountains and forests. There were no repeated attacks causing alarm across the region. Instead, subtle changes began to appear around farms located along the forest's edge. Livestock became more wary whenever dusk approached. Guard dogs frequently fixed their gaze on the dark hillsides. Then, on damp patches of ground still marked by the morning dew, rangers began discovering familiar tracks. They appeared with such regularity and precision that they seemed to have been drawn on an invisible map. A wolf pack had quietly re-established its territory. What makes wolves such unpredictable adversaries is not simply their speed or strength. What makes them dangerous is their ability to learn. Every hunt allows a wolf pack to gain more experience. They remember the locations of fences, the habits of livestock, and even the areas where people are commonly present. Over time, that knowledge becomes a formidable advantage. While many predators act primarily on instinct, wolves seem to possess an exceptional ability to adjust their strategies and adapt to changing conditions. To deal with them, the first task was not setting traps but gathering information. A network of infrared cameras was installed along valleys, trails, and open woodland areas where tracks frequently appeared. Week after week passed as hundreds of hours of footage were carefully analyzed. From what initially seemed like scattered pieces of information, a pattern began to emerge. The wolves were not moving randomly as many people believed. They followed familiar routes, stopped at specific locations, and even used observation points before venturing deeper into their hunting grounds. Night after night, they repeated nearly the same journey with remarkable precision. Only after the picture of their movements had gradually become clear did the experts begin selecting locations for trap deployment. Preparing the traps required an almost absolute level of attention to detail. Every trace of human presence had to be minimized. The soil was restored to its original condition after installation. Dry leaves were carefully placed back exactly where they had been. Even small branches that had been moved were repositioned with great care. In the world of wolves, a single unusual detail can be enough to trigger suspicion. And when an alpha wolf senses danger, the entire pack may disappear from the area for weeks. Time continued to pass. Night after night, the cameras kept recording gray silhouettes gliding through the darkness. They approached, then moved away again. There were moments when the wolves came within only a few meters of the trap site yet still refused to step into the carefully calculated zone. Patience became the most important element of the entire operation. No one knew exactly when an opportunity would present itself, but everyone understood that a single act of impatience could erase weeks of hard work. Then, at last, the moment arrived. In the pale white glow of an infrared camera, a large wolf emerged from the edge of the forest. It moved with the calm confidence of an animal completely familiar with the area. There were no obvious signs of caution. No prolonged hesitation. It simply continued along the route the pack had used for months. And when its front paw touched the exact spot that had been predicted in advance, the trap mechanism activated instantly. The entire event unfolded so quickly that it was almost impossible to perceive with the naked eye. The wildlife management team arrived quickly to handle the situation according to established procedures. But for them, this was not the end. Capturing a single wolf was only a small part of a much longer process. Managing wolves is not simply a matter of tools or techniques. It is a journey toward understanding how one of nature's most intelligent predators adapts to the world around it. In the vast forests, where every footprint carries its own message, success belongs to those who are patient enough to read the story that nature quietly tells.
Little points on my trap right there. Down in there, like so.
Hand-foot catch, which isn't ideal.
It all began with silence. There were no howls echoing through the night. No clear signs of chaos appeared around the farms. Only unexplained gaps. A few young calves went missing. Sheep herds became unusually restless whenever night fell. And then, on the soft mud beside the fence, footprints appeared. They were not wandering aimlessly. They moved as if they had memorized every tree root, every stream gap, and every trail cutting through the forest. The wolves were returning. Unlike many other predators, wolves do not rely on sheer strength. They win through coordination. A pack can track a target for hours, memorize terrain, and change tactics in the middle of a pursuit. This is what turns controlling them into a long game of strategy, where every move must be carefully calculated. Infrared cameras were deployed along natural movement corridors. Night after night, the footage began to reveal an invisible network stretching across the mountains and forests. Wolves did not move randomly. They used fixed routes passed down through generations. These paths were like hidden highways understood only by them. Once the movement patterns were decoded, the next phase began. Instead of placing traps everywhere, wildlife control teams focused on natural choke points. These could be narrow passages between cliffs, a dry stream bed, or a gap between dense clusters of trees. The goal was not to force a wolf into a trap. The goal was to place the trap exactly where it was already going to pass. The steel foothold trap was prepared so carefully it almost disappeared into the ground. Each layer of dry leaves was meticulously repositioned. Soil was dusted to match the surrounding environment. Even human scent had to be minimized as much as possible, with a sense of smell far beyond many other animals. Wolves can detect a single unusual detail that the human eye would miss. One small mistake was enough to make an entire pack change routes for weeks.
So this dog box bedding is
But the hardest part was not hiding the trap. The hardest part was understanding the mind of the wolf. Adult wolves rarely rush into anything new. They observe, they test, they sniff repeatedly before making a decision. This is why experts spend weeks monitoring behavior. Every new footprint on the ground, every camera angle, and every slight change in movement routes becomes an essential piece of a larger puzzle.
Yep.
Then, on a freezing night, the long-awaited moment finally arrived. On the monitoring screen, the silhouette of a large wolf appeared under infrared light. It moved slowly along the familiar corridor. No rush, no hesitation. Everything around it matched what it had seen for months. When the next step landed on the pre-calculated spot, the trap mechanism instantly triggered. The entire process happened in a fraction of a second. Rapid response teams quickly arrived at the scene to handle the situation according to wildlife management protocols. The system's goal was not to create a violent confrontation. Instead, everything was designed to minimize risk to humans, livestock, and the surrounding ecosystem. But the story did not end with a single capture. The remaining wolves quickly adapted. They changed routes, shifted activity times, and became more cautious. Once again, the strategic game began. Wolf control has never been just about a steel foothold trap. It is a battle of patience, observation, and understanding one of North America's most intelligent predators. In that vast forest, where every footprint tells its own story, victory does not belong to the stronger side. It belongs to the one who understands the opponent's behavior better than anyone else.
Feed the pack for several days, but then
A sudden trap tightens along a narrow trail covered in wolf tracks. Scenes like this have become increasingly common across many parts of the northern United States, where farmers and wildlife control teams are still struggling to stop repeated attacks on livestock. For many communities living near deep forests and wide open grazing land, wolves are no longer just symbols of the wild. They have become a direct threat to sheep, cattle, and horses. Every year, wolf-related losses cost ranchers millions of dollars, making predator control an unavoidable part of daily life for many local residents. Wolves are no longer staying deep in the wilderness like they once did. They are moving closer to ranches and residential areas in search of easier food sources. In northern states like Montana, Idaho, and Alaska, livestock attacks have continued to rise, pushing many ranchers into crisis. After years of repeated losses, wildlife control teams have been forced to set trap systems along the wolves' most commonly used travel routes in order to reduce predator pressure near farming communities. Wolf trapping is heavily regulated by wildlife management agencies. Areas showing high levels of wolf activity are carefully surveyed before any traps are deployed. The goal is not to eliminate the entire population, but control packs that repeatedly move into livestock areas. In states with large wolf populations, control efforts usually take place during colder months when natural food sources become scarce and wolves are more likely to approach ranches in search of prey. To locate the best trap sites, control teams track footprints, claw marks on trees, and narrow forest trails frequently used by wolf packs. Steel cable snares and specialized foothold traps are carefully placed along tight pathways near dry creek beds, hillsides, and forest edges. Every detail has to be calculated with extreme precision. Even the slightest unfamiliar scent or unusual disturbance can cause an entire pack to change direction and disappear from the area completely.
Drill.
In addition to mechanical traps, many teams also use motion-activated cameras and sound devices that mimic injured prey to monitor wolf movement. The sounds are designed to trigger the wolves' curiosity and lure them closer to pre-selected locations. Infrared cameras record their activity over multiple days, allowing control teams to identify the most effective timing and placement for trap deployment. Wolf trapping is far more complicated than simply setting equipment and waiting. It is a battle of patience, field experience, and the ability to read signs in harsh terrain. Many wildlife control workers travel dozens of miles through forests and mountains while constantly checking trap systems to ensure everything remains safe and compliant with regulations. When dealing with intelligent and highly cautious predators like wolves, even a single mistake can ruin an entire operation. According to wildlife management agencies, trapping programs have significantly reduced livestock attacks in several high wolf density regions. However, the practice remains highly controversial. Some conservation groups believe ranchers should prioritize alternatives, such as electric fencing, livestock guardian dogs, and non-lethal deterrent systems, instead of relying too heavily on traps. Meanwhile, many farmers argue that without immediate control efforts, the damage would quickly become impossible to handle. The debate between wolf conservation and predator control will likely continue for many years to come. But in places where the sound of wolves still echoes near grazing fields every night, wildlife control teams continue their work with the same goal: maintaining the fragile balance between people and nature. If you want to keep following these intense stories from the deep forests of North America, don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel.
In just a few days, several farms located near the northern forests began losing livestock on a regular basis. At first, only a few sheep disappeared overnight, but soon several horses also became targets, raising concern among local farmers. Strangely, the fences remained intact, the barns showed no signs of damage, and the guard dogs reacted for only a few moments before falling silent again. Every morning, fresh tracks appeared in the damp soil leading into the forest. Infrared cameras captured little more than dark shapes moving quickly through the area before vanishing. All signs suggested that a wolf pack had adopted the region as part of its regular travel route. As losses continued to grow, farm owners realized that routine patrols were no longer enough. A wildlife control team was brought in to survey the entire area. Cameras were installed along fences, forest edges, and trails where tracks frequently appeared. After several days of monitoring, they discovered that the wolves followed fixed routes between the forest and grazing areas, showing that any effective response needed to focus on movement patterns rather than reacting after each attack. The first solution was bow hunting. Unlike firearms, bows allowed hunters to approach quietly without disturbing livestock. Hunters set up ambush positions near trails identified by the cameras, using vegetation, mud, and natural terrain for concealment while waiting patiently. The goal was simple: get within range and act before the wolves disappeared back into the forest. However, the reality proved far more difficult. Wolves possess excellent spatial memory and are extremely cautious. They often changed their travel schedules or approached from unexpected directions after detecting even minor disturbances. After many days of waiting, the team had very few opportunities for a close approach. Although bow hunting reduced noise, its effectiveness remained limited. Faced with this challenge, the team turned to cage traps. Large steel enclosures were placed in areas with heavy track activity, particularly near dry creek beds, forest edges, and entrances to grazing fields. Bait was placed inside, while the exterior was carefully camouflaged with leaves, branches, and natural soil to reduce any signs of human activity. Over the following days, the cage traps produced only limited results. A few younger, less experienced wolves entered while searching for food, but most of the pack kept a safe distance. Adult wolves often stopped to observe from afar before changing direction, showing that experienced animals could easily distinguish between a natural food source and a man-made structure placed along their usual route. The camouflage process was carried out with great care. A thin layer of soil covered the trigger mechanism, followed by dry leaves and natural ground cover to eliminate visible signs of disturbance. Even small rocks and nearby branches were carefully repositioned so the area blended perfectly with the surrounding terrain. At sunrise, the team returned to inspect the traps and found one section heavily disturbed. As they moved closer, they discovered that an adult wolf had been caught at a location where tracks had repeatedly appeared. Specialists quickly secured the situation, conducted a health assessment, and attached an identification device for monitoring. Numerous fresh tracks still surrounded the area, indicating that the entire pack had passed through during the night. This story is not only about traps or protecting livestock. It reflects a growing reality in which the distance between humans and wildlife continues to shrink. As environments change, predators adapt to survive, while rural communities search for ways to protect their livelihoods. From bow hunting to cage traps and foothold traps, each method comes with its own advantages and limitations. If you found this story interesting, leave a comment and don't forget to follow the channel for more real-life stories about wildlife and modern wildlife management.
So we're gonna get her out. We're gonna put a little bit of that. Guess that it's gonna be a female.
For some time recently, residents living near forested areas have repeatedly reported the presence of wolves around farms and livestock facilities.
A coyote.
At first, they appeared only at considerable distances, but over time, they gradually moved closer to areas where domestic animals were kept. Many people directly observe wolves traveling along fences or appearing near paths leading into agricultural properties. Most sightings occurred in the early morning or around dusk. Some packs even approached livestock enclosures before quickly leaving the area. The increasing frequency of these appearances over several days raised growing concerns among local residents about their potential impact. The presence of wolves quickly created significant effects on local life. Livestock owners became increasingly concerned about the safety of cattle, poultry, and other small domestic animals. Many families reinforced fences or increased inspections of their barns and enclosures each evening. In addition to the potential losses involving livestock, the frequent appearance of wolves also affected the community's sense of security. In some areas, residents reduced outdoor activities at night to avoid unwanted encounters. In response to the situation, trapping efforts began in areas frequently used by wolves. Observers spent time identifying routes where signs of wolf activity repeatedly appeared before selecting suitable trap locations. Areas near trails, forest edges, and fence lines were often given priority. The trapping system was carefully positioned to match the wolves' movement patterns.
You notice when I make the dirt around it. And that's why wax sand, if you dig your bed correctly.
It was also prepared to improve the chances of attracting them into the controlled area. Throughout the process, the surrounding environment was kept as unchanged as possible to avoid altering the natural behavior of wolf packs.
You remember what?
The main reason wolves continued returning to the area was closely linked to their search for food. When natural food sources became less abundant or harder to access, livestock operations became attractive targets. Many wolf packs remembered locations where they had previously found food and returned out of habit. In response, residents combined trapping efforts with several other control measures. Various deterrent activities were carried out to limit the wolves' ability to approach livestock. Despite these efforts, wolves continued appearing for many consecutive days, indicating that the challenge remained significant. After the trapping system had been in place for some time, those managing the operation began reviewing all previously established trap locations. Some sites proved more effective because they were positioned directly along the wolves' regular trap route. In contrast, locations showing little activity were adjusted or moved to more suitable areas. Bait was also changed when necessary to maintain its effectiveness. These reviews and adjustments gradually made the trapping system better suited to the actual behavior. This stage was considered important before clear control results could be achieved.
And then some gray fox urine on the of it, just a little bit. I mean, very, very little. That you can also get at Shop Carolina Coyote. We're gonna put a little.
So yesterday, I don't know, I'd change the name of it, honestly.
After many days of monitoring and adjustments, the expected result finally appeared. At one of the previously selected locations, a wolf was found caught in a trap. The control system functioned as intended when the animal entered the baited area. Observers documented the event directly during a routine inspection of the site. The successful capture demonstrated that the process of identifying travel routes and selecting deployment locations had been effective.
After she got caught last night.
I want to get over here. For the animal, when he first gets in there, he'll fast travel.
Following this event, the frequency of wolf sightings around the area began to decline compared to earlier periods. Residents continued maintaining necessary protective measures to reduce the likelihood of wolves returning, while also preserving long-term stability for the local livestock operations.
Over the past several years, wolves have gradually returned to many rural and mountainous regions across Russia.
Together and move.
For biologists, this is often viewed as a sign that ecosystems are recovering. But for many ranchers and livestock owners, the growing presence of these predators has created new challenges. From large farms bordering dense forests to remote mountain communities, signs of wolf activity are becoming increasingly common. Wolves track livestock, use the terrain to their advantage, and sometimes cause significant losses for farmers. Once a pack establishes territory in an area, the pressure on livestock can persist for months, forcing rural communities to continually search for more effective ways to protect their animals. As pressure from wolf packs continues to grow, many ranch owners have been forced to invest heavily in protecting their livestock. They install surveillance cameras, reinforce fencing, use warning systems, and hire professional wildlife control teams when necessary.
Come along.
However, unlike many opportunistic predators, wolves are highly coordinated pack hunters. They memorize terrain, learn from experience, and quickly change their behavior when they sense danger. This turns wolf management into a prolonged battle strategy, where even a small mistake can undo weeks of preparation. In modern wildlife management, steel foothold traps are considered one of the most important tools in areas experiencing high levels of predation. However, deploying them is far more complex than many people assume. Control teams spend days surveying the landscape, searching for tracks, for caught on fences, scent marking locations, and the travel routes wolves use most often. Every trap is carefully positioned to take advantage of the animal's natural movement patterns rather than forcing them toward a specific location. Before any trap is set, specialists typically monitor the area using infrared cameras and motion sensors to better understand behavior of the entire pack. They record activity times, approach routes, and locations where wolves frequently stop to observe their surroundings. The most important objective is to avoid making the area appear unusual. Even the slightest sign of danger can cause an entire pack to change its route and disappear from the area for weeks. As a result, most of the operation is spent watching and waiting rather than actually setting traps. Once a suitable location has been identified, steel foothold traps are installed along natural travel corridors. These pathways often develop over many years of repeated use, following creek banks, mountain passes, and forest edges where wolves feel safest. Rather than moving randomly across the landscape, most wolf packs rely on familiar routes that have been used for generations. Understanding these invisible corridors greatly increases control effectiveness without expanding the area of intervention. However, even with increasingly advanced surveillance technology and years of field experience, managing wolves remains a difficult task. They work as a team, remember their surroundings, and adapt their behavior quickly. An area that remains quiet for several months can suddenly show fresh signs of wolf activity after a single breeding season. When one route becomes heavily monitored, new travel corridors often emerge deeper in the forest or farther away from areas with regular human activity. Ultimately, the story of wolves is about far more than steel foothold traps, surveillance equipment, or wildlife control programs. It highlights the complexity of balancing wildlife conservation with the protection of human livelihoods. Every improvement in management brings new challenges because the opponent is not a simple animal, but an intelligent predator that has adapted to its environment for thousands of years. And in the end, the question remains, are humans truly controlling the return of wolves, or are we simply learning to live alongside a part of nature that never completely disappeared? Many years ago, cattle ranchers living near a vast mountain region only occasionally heard wolves howling on cold nights. They rarely caused serious problems. But as their numbers increased, everything began to change. At first, there were tracks in the snow. Then young calves started disappearing. Soon, the livestock became restless night after night, gathering together in tight groups. Farmers quickly realized they were facing an opponent far more intelligent than they had ever imagined. What made the situation even more concerning was that the problem was not limited to livestock losses. Security cameras captured wolves moving with remarkable organization and coordination. They appeared in multiple locations during the same night, splitting into smaller groups before reuniting again. Some individuals remained at a distance, watching the area, while others quietly approached the grazing grounds. Many ranch owners soon understood that adding more fences or increasing patrols was no longer enough. The wolves had adapted to the changes created by humans. To find a long-term solution, wildlife specialists were invited to survey the area. They spent days monitoring the region with infrared cameras and using bait to attract the animals. Thousands of hours of footage revealed that the wolf pack frequently traveled along established routes, yet constantly changed their timing to avoid becoming predictable. Some individuals even checked for signs of human activity, before leading the rest of the pack through the area. After identifying the most important travel corridor, the management team implemented a new strategy. Instead of relying on aggressive methods such as hunting, they used capture devices carefully concealed within the natural environment while minimizing any trace of human scent. Sensors and cameras operated continuously, nearly invisible among the grass and shrubs. The goal was not to drive the wolves away, but to accurately monitor their movements and select the appropriate individual for intervention. The first few days required tremendous patience. The wolves often appeared at the edge of the monitored area, sniffed the air, and quietly disappeared. On some nights, they stood on a high ridge for long periods, observing without taking another step forward. Specialists noticed that the pack constantly evaluated its surroundings and would immediately change direction if anything seemed unusual. This caution was one of the main reasons why many previous control efforts had failed. During the second week, an unexpected development occurred. Cameras recorded the pack leader appearing near a small stream that it regularly used as part of its route. As the lead animal, it always checked the safety of an area before allowing the rest of the pack to move through. The wolf paused for a long time, carefully observing its surroundings before slowly continuing forward. Just seconds later, the control system was activated exactly as planned. However, what surprised the specialists most was the reaction of the remaining wolves. As soon as the signal was received, the management team immediately arrived at the site. After assessing the animal's condition and ensuring its safety, they brought a specialized transport cage to the capture location. Every step was carried out carefully to reduce stress on the wolf. Within a short time, the animal was safely secured inside the enclosure and prepared for relocation. The specialized vehicle transported the wolf to a wildlife conservation area. The objective was not to eliminate wolves, but to reduce conflicts between wildlife and people. By studying wolf behavior and travel patterns, managers were able to apply more effective solutions. When a safe distance is maintained, both livestock and wild animals have a greater chance of coexisting in a stable and sustainable way. The story between humans and wolves will likely continue for many years to come. However, modern wildlife management programs demonstrate that understanding animal behavior is often far more effective than confronting it with force. In the wild, knowledge can sometimes be the most powerful tool of all. If you enjoyed this story, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to follow our future journeys.